Hello, everyone. Welcome to the unofficial Grace Point podcast. It's good to have you guys back. My name is Steven.
I'm Isaiah.
And we are your co-hosts. And we are in the middle of a series called Atypical Church. Just talking about what makes us weird and stuff like that. We talked about what makes us weird. We talked about what makes us tick. And we talked about Actually Church last week. But one thing we forgot to talk about that we really need to talk about, if we're going to talk about what makes our church work and what's unique about our church, is sisters in ministry, women in ministry. So, yeah. And so we've got some special guests here. Got Emily and Eunice, and let them introduce themselves, but we're going to ask them some questions about just what they do and sort of, hopefully that'll paint a really good picture of just like what it's like to be in ministry at Grace Point. So how about we just start with that, just intros. Emily, you want to start? Just how about you talk about, introduce yourself, how about how you first came to our church and what kind of ministry you're doing right now?
All right, so I came to our church last century, 1994.
So did I. Yeah.
Yes. So I came as a freshman. I actually came through meeting some people who helped me with some dorm move-in, and it was really, they were actually the first people I met on the UC Berkeley campus. So actually I came late on move-in day, so I didn't even meet my dorm staff. They had already left.
Oh.
And so anyway, I don't know if I
so
should
you're
go.
So you're grateful about
Yeah,
okay,
for sure.
And when did you find out that this was church people?
Right away.
Oh, okay.
So they said, we're from a church, we're helping people, whatever.
Oh,
and my
okay.
mom was like, yes, church, she'll be coming, So I was like, oh, okay. So anyway, so it came kind of on and off my first semester, and actually I went to my first winter retreat. Freshman year, it was at Jeunesse Park.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And
Jeunesse Park is a retreat set that we own.
Yes,
now.
so it's super nostalgic to go back there when we,
Yeah.
started work there, and then anyway, so I've been coming since then. It's kind of an awkward intro.
So I have a very clear memory of Emily.
Oh, okay.
I think it might have been the first Sunday that she came. So I was a sophomore and she was a freshman, and she came wearing her alternative rock T-shirt.
What band?
Cranberries.
Cranberries?
Before your time,
I don't even
but
know what that
I
is.
knew.
Do you know what that is?
I have no idea.
I immediately recognized that she must be into music. And,
I'm thankful that you got the band right, because every time you would tell it, it would become worse and worse.
Oh,
like more extreme bands.
Like
Megadeth and Black Sabbath. And I was like, whoa.
memory
Korn.
doesn't
Thank you.
forget.
Did you listen to Megadeth?
No comment. No comment.
Okay.
But anyways,
Right,
so now I'm serving in our middle school ministry here, and I also am the official librarian at our church too.
So I'm really thankful for Emily, because my boys went through the youth ministry here.
Okay.
That's right.
She would recommend books for them to read. They still call her Auntie M.
Nice. Cool. All right. So Eunice, why don't you introduce yourself? Same thing.
Yeah, I came also as a freshman, and what was the question?
Like, how'd you start coming out? Yeah.
I started coming out. Yeah, I had an older brother who brought me out to church, and so I'm part of the era where I was part of the really, really old time of our church, but as the youngest one, one of the youngest ones, so we just barely saw it, and then we went on.
Oh, so Emily was spared.
Yeah, I guess the line is right here.
Yeah,
I guess.
1 year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now I'm in Seattle with my husband Steve. We lead our church up there.
Okay.
What does that mean? You were what was the difference between your experience versus Emily's experience? What does that
was
mean?
it just
really older ones?
Well, no, actually, when I came, our group was called KBSU, Korean Baptist Student Union.
Okay.
And it was the last year of that. And,
Okay.
and then it changed to
We kind of joke
ABSU.
around about how, it was predominantly Korean, but then, and I was maybe one of the most whitewashed
Maybe I
Korean.
me too.
Okay.
Yeah,
culture
so
shock.
we were and then, but starting with our classes, we had our first non-Asian friends
Peers,
that
yeah.
joined
Praise the
our
Lord.
church.
Oh, wow.
So I remember the staff actually being really happy about that.
Okay.
But as a freshman, I don't really understand what was going on. But yeah.
So that was 94, 95-ish.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, cool. All right, cool. Well, I think it's a little bit of an enigma. I get this question too. People ask me, what does your typical day look like? And I'm just like, what? I don't know how to answer. Or what do you do? I remember when I first came full time, I came full time as the praise guy, the worship guy. and they're like, yeah, so do you just like play guitar all day, you know? And I was like,
And the answer was yes. That's all he did.
yeah, all I did was watch videos of like Hillsong concerts and stuff. And so it was kind of hard. So why don't you guys just try it? So you're serving an element, and you're also a librarian. You're leading a church in Seattle. What is your responsibilities? What does a typical day look like? What do you do? We could just answer that.
What are you doing?
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's really funny actually that you mentioned this because my dentist asked me that because he knows I've known him for like years.
Okay.
And he knew I used to be a public school teacher.
Yeah.
And then I left to go full time at church.
What did you teach and what grade?
I taught high school English.
Okay.
And middle school English too, and like social
okay.
studies. Anyway, and so I tried to explain my day to him, and he goes, "Oh," and he's like cleaning my teeth. He's like, "Oh."
What did you say? What did you like?
Well, I said, "Oh, I meet up with like some of my friends in the morning for I just start off the day in God's Word and prayer, and then and then there's different meetings that I'm part of to like plan out our ministry schedule for the week. I also do some reading, and I organize the library. I order books for the bookstore. I work on our devotions for our church, and et cetera, et cetera. I meet up with students, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes, "Oh," he's cleaning my teeth. "So you're kind of like a nun, except Protestant." And I was like, I guess so. I was like, what? But I was kind of, what? But it was kind of hard to explain. What do I do?
Said you're kind of like a nun.
Kind of like a nun. Because he's like, "Oh, you're in the house of God all day," kind of thing. And I was like, "Oh, But it's not like all day, So I was trying to explain, like,
you don't have a uniform.
Yeah, I'm just doing like the life of what it takes to, run a youth ministry or, just all the different things that happen at our church building here. I mean, one of the things I do is I let people know when Amazon packages have arrived for them.
It's
like random little things, Yeah, because they don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's just a lot of little things, and we're just doing life together. I don't know.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
She also helps plan for the youth ministry.
Okay, yes. Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you talk a little about that? Like, what is planning for youth ministry?
It's probably a
doing
more
youth
significant
ministry?
part of your life than the Amazon.
Okay.
package thing.
Yeah. What does
Maybe
that
a little
look
bit,
like?
yeah.
What do you do?
I mean, so
Recently
just thinking
she took them
through.
to a conference.
Yeah. So I'm thinking through like our year, like our semester and our year, like what are the different kind of peak moments we want to plan for our youth? What are some of the needs? I'm working with middle schoolers, so there's, it's an exciting kind of age. And so always looking for new opportunities to challenge them, to really teach them. And so there's a lot of talking about what would be, the different ideas. I also help with like the high school ministry or just different youth-wide things. And just I guess considering different things like retreats, special speakers, just organizing the kind of the weekly stuff.
You're like really, you're like setting the whole program. And,
helping.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure, because, since I'm here, full time, I can kind of spend that time like during the day to do that while most of my ministry team, they're, bivos.
Yeah. What's the best part of middle school ministry, and what's the worst? I'm just kidding. You have to say the worst. Just what's the best?
Well,
they might be listening to this podcast.
So what I love about
They're
it so
definitely gonna
much,
listen to this podcast.
so what I love about it so much is that there's still enough of the childlike excitement about things, and kind of this excitement to just learn things, and yet they're not kids anymore. And so it's really exciting because they have questions. This is one of the, for a lot of them, it's the first time that, most of them have grown up in church, but they start kind of wondering, wait, why do I believe what I believe? Like, how do I know God really exists? What about other religions? Or, okay, Jesus says that, we're supposed to, share the gospel with people. What does that even look like? And that's so hard because school, it's so awkward, and so they're excited. They want to know how to like earnestly like follow God, but like what it looks like. They have a lot of questions. And so it's really exciting. And it's actually pretty fruitful ministry in the sense that like a lot of them make first time personal decisions to follow Jesus.
Yeah, because they might have grown up in the church, but they never kind of made it their own.
Wow. And so that's been really actually rewarding. And also it's like, I always tell them, it's kind of, they're in the hyper learning kind of mode in terms of their brain development. So they can learn things faster and better.
That's true.
And what they learn during this period of time is going to stay with them longer.
So true.
So I've like scared them, but also inspired them and motivated them.
Because it's like a crucial time.
Yeah, so it's so amazing to see them like learning musical instruments.
Yes.
You know, picking up different
there's
hobbies
a world
and
of difference between people who pick up instruments in college versus like middle school.
I started in college. Yeah.
And so it's kind of cool because it's also the time when they're so excited to learn anything. Yeah. And so they're going to pick up stuff from everywhere. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, we work really hard to kind of have like
an outlet for that.
An outlet and like an alternative to what they're going to find out from Google searches or from their friends or, you know, the world and what's, you know. So anyway, so a lot of things that just make it really exciting. So I guess there are a lot of things that, you know, we're thinking through and planning, you know, in the week to week. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Eunice, you want to take it?
And there's no worse thing.
Yeah.
There's no worse thing.
It's great.
It's all great.
It's just all highs every day.
Well, no, there's some worse things probably, but we don't know who's listening.
We don't need to go into that.
Yeah, so Eunice, as a church plant lead, Seattle, what is it, you know, what do you do?
Okay, my typical day. Similarly, I mean, we start with DT, our daily devotions. We have different groups of people come to our house.
Okay.
You know, on different days, and I'll have a little.
What time? Like they
7 a.m.
7 a.m.
Yeah, I like having it at my house because then I can prep the breakfast before the night before.
So you make breakfast for them too.
Yeah, simple breakfast. And then we get to share together. We usually, because I see them, so that group, I'll see them once a week. So then it'll be like sharing what you're thankful for or prayer requests. So it's kind of a connecting time. So I really enjoy that. And then after that, we have meetings. Usually Steve and I have our meeting. You know, we like to whiteboard.
So you and Steve, you guys meet to talk about like ministry and stuff?
The ministry planning or whatever issues we want to tackle. Yeah, for the
So you mentioned like whiteboarding. Like what do you mean by that?
Yeah, like okay, for us, Steve and I, the whiteboard is a crucial part of our meeting. Yeah, it's like without the whiteboard. So
without the whiteboard, what happens?
It
sounded ominous.
I don't know. Maybe before and after a little bit. Before the whiteboard, after
before the whiteboard.
BW
it's like
and AW.
Maybe like, you know, because I have the things I want to talk about, and he has the things he wants to talk about, and there's like a traffic jam, and you know, and then my husband is gifted in many ways, but he has a problem staying on track with discussion. So we hit upon a good method where, he takes notes on the whiteboard, and wow, it's like magic.
Oh, wow.
We can talk through some things together. So we generally do that, and then we have a bunch of guys who telecommute at our house. So then we generally have lunch with them. So that's
wait, where? Like, what do you mean they?
There's a
so they work remote for
basement.
Their jobs.
We have a basement. Yeah, they work remote, and they set up like a telecommuter area in our basement. So they really like working there because there's also a basketball hoop right outside that they use often, and you know, so we generally have lunch with them and get to hang out with them a little bit, or we head to our office space that our church uses and take care of some things there. And then generally our afternoons we either meet up with people or take care of different planning needs. We do our own work. Steve generally preps a lot
of
messages.
Okay. Yeah. So then if he's doing like messages, things like what kind of stuff are you handling? Like everything else? Like what is it?
Kind of, yeah. Not everything else, but a lot of the logistics maybe. Yeah, and I work with different. So like we'll have a management meeting, you know, once a week. I know Emily's part of that too here. So and we'll take care of all the.
What are some of the big, just some of the bigger stuff that you handle?
Well, like at our management meeting, I think the two big topics are childcare.
Yes.
Working out any childcare needs for the week, and then also like venue, and so you know, like it's exciting time I think for our Seattle ministry because a lot of the staff, the younger staff, are taking the more front lines roles of.
They're out there on campus. They're meeting students and stuff like that.
Meeting students and planning out what needs to be done, what they want to accomplish in a quarter, and things like that. And so we try to oversee things and help them plan ahead, like help them plan for the quarter, help them plan for the next quarter, so that they have some space bandwidth to think about the week to week.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
You mentioned childcare. So can we talk about that a little bit? So when you explain to people who are listening, like, what does that look like?
You just hire a babysitter.
Whose children are these, and what does that entail?
Yeah, so all the kids in our church.
How many kids are there in Seattle now?
12.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're a small shop. And some of our churches, there's a lot more kids. And so
sometimes more kids than adults.
Yeah. Seriously, sometimes
some of our church plants.
1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah.
So then, we try to help the parents work out their ministry schedule. So like they're, generally the parents, can work it out they take turns or things like that, watching their own kids.
While the other parent goes out.
Like there'll be a night the dad goes out and has meetings with their students or something, and vice versa. But there's times that, sometimes they ask for help, like, can we get help with childcare because we have this special event or something. So then I'll help them work out, like, since the international student ministry group has a event going on, maybe our youth staff can help out or our college staff can help out, and we kind of make those arrangements. And also we just try to work out all of our weekly meetings in advance so that we can think through the childcare. Like, is there enough time between things so that the parents can, pick up their kids? Like, is there enough transition time? Things like that.
Yeah, so that there's a lot of logistics and kind of overhead involved in making that all work out. So, you got to coordinate, okay, so, these people are going to be caring for children tonight, and these people are going to be caring for them, the next night. So what would you say is the benefit of all that? Like what makes that worth it?
Yeah. Why do that?
Yeah, so it is pretty headachy sometimes, but man, it's, totally, totally worth it because it allows both parents to be involved in ministry. Like we have a friend up there in Seattle who's part of they're a pastoral couple at another ministry. And what they tell us is it's such a struggle. They have these 2 kids, and it's really hard for them. Like the wife used to be equally involved in ministry, but once they had their kids, she's been pretty knocked out. And so, even like one time we offered to help her with childcare so that they could have a planning meeting, and she was so thankful, and the husband was so thankful, that his wife could join him. So I realized through their eyes, wow, we have something really special at our church. We have this culture where we help each other out with childcare so that the whole family can be involved in ministry, and it's not just the one parent,
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that value to sort of like, it's so that, we help each other out so that the husband and the wife can be equally involved, right, in ministry. And like, why is that a value? What benefits do you see even from that, and why do we try so hard to make that happen? I think that
because it's not the case at all churches. A lot of churches, it is pretty male dominated. Mostly it's the men who are in the ministry, and a lot of times the wives are, watching the kids and not able to be involved. So, so just kind of, but why is that?
Yeah, I need to...
Feel free to jump in, Emily.
Sure. Well, one thing is then, the women can minister to women. Sounds kind of obvious, but maybe not so. So that's one thing.
Yeah, I think so in our church we really value that women being able to minister to other women, the younger women directly, and that's only possible if the mom has help with childcare at times. And then also I think just the husband and wife being able to lead together, I think is huge. I think it really adds a certain something to the quality of our community. I think just having everyone together, like the family-like atmosphere.
Yeah, like mom and pop.
Having the kids run around together. I think that's how we grew up, in our ministry, and you guys too. And there's something very special about that, being in the homes together. Yeah,
because I definitely appreciate that, now doing ministry as a church plant lead couple out in Philly. There's just so much about the world that my wife sees that I don't see. And, you know, there's certain things that I don't see that she doesn't see.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that, like, I never would have thought of that if my wife didn't point that out to me, whether that be, like, about myself and, like, just the way I am or, you know, noticing this need that I just am blind to, or just, like, ways that she cares for people in concrete ways that I wouldn't do, you know, like just like buying little gifts and kind of being attentive to these small needs. So I definitely feel that.
Even the different perspectives.
Oh yeah, different skills, different strengths. My wife is like way more techie than I am actually. Yeah. She's way better at tech, and I'm like, I try to video edit, and I'm like really slow. So she's always like, I'm gonna edit that video for you, you know. Like, so, women in tech, let's go, you know. Like she was, you know, working in tech.
I'm way more techie than my wife, but it's not. It's different every couple.
Yeah, every couple's different, but it's there's a lot of that benefits.
But those, both of those strengths can come out, you know. So
yeah. So how about like we can start wrapping things up, but like what keeps you going? You know, it sounds really involved. It sounds like a lot to do, and like you said, like a lot of people, because of kids, whatever, family, like they take it out. And we talked a little bit about the practical aspect of that, like getting childcare so that you can keep going. But yeah, just like what do you find most satisfying, fulfilling, and or energizing, and keeps you going for the long haul?
Yeah, I think now as one of the older ones, you know, I think now there's generations of people that I've seen change, like transformed by the gospel. And I tell you, I just see them and it just fills me with just like this overwhelming gratitude towards God and like confirmation, yes, God is real and I can keep doing this so that I can find, you know, meet more people like them, you know. So it's like, you know, one of the first classes that when I was a senior, you know, and they were freshmen, so that's like Helen Park and like, you know, different people like Susan Iskandar, you know, in different churches now. And just when I see them still hanging in there and like serving in different ways and, you know, and then it goes on and on and on, you know, different people. And yeah, just even like the 2010 sisters, you know, a lot of them are actually in Seattle, but they were the first class that I went all the way through, freshman to, you know, senior year. And just seeing them now, like, they're out there and I don't know, just going through the different pains of ministry and just seeing, I don't know, just I get moved when I think of them, all the Element students over the years, you know, and now some of them I'm like serving with, you know, like I got the chance to serve with Beatrice in middle school ministry together when I remember when she was a high schooler and then, you know, just that journey to faith, you know, or Amanda Chu now, you know, and, you know, different people. And just so when I see that, wow, okay, I didn't know what was happening then, you know, but God was working and, you know, different people throughout the years sticking it out and like growing in their heart for ministry and just being there all together. It's just, it's really strengthening. Yeah,
there's a really deep like joy from that partnership in the gospel. It's not just like we're just doing this, but like I know you.
Yeah, it's hard to describe it, but it's like even moving just to see them like walking past each other at HB. And, like, you know, sometimes it takes me aback.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's one thing for sure.
I think over the years I've heard a lot of, I think I've received a lot of encouragement like that from people who, man, I see the way that God has transformed their life. And it is such a palpable, like, I feel so much gratitude when I think about, you know, when I first met them and different struggles in life that they went through, and I see how God so faithfully led them, and I got to be part of that journey. And I think as I get older, I feel, you know, like I know that every student that we meet, it's like, you know, they might not, like, you know, continue on with our church for that long, you know, but I have a greater trust and hope that even the little bit I can invest in their lives, you know, they might just be passing through our ministry, you know, 1 quarter or whatever, but the little bit we get to share with them and invest in their lives, I think it's valuable, you know, and I just trust that God's going to keep working in their life, you know, and I'm thankful that I get to be part of that. Like, I never would have, I really had not very high vision for my life, you know. I'm not a very, I don't know, I didn't think
you didn't think you would become a church plant lead?
No, pastor's wife, no, nothing like that. I personally have, I don't think I have natural leadership, you know, like abilities or anything.
What was like what did you want? Like, what was the picture
for? Be an engineer and live a boring life.
Just be a good engineer.
A safe but boring life. That was my plan. And I think God has taken me on a way more wild and amazing journey. And so I think when I think about that and what God has done in my life and what I've got to experience, I think that's what keeps me going.
Sorry, I'm gonna throw in another question here, going off script a little bit, but one question that I have is, what do you think? Because I mean, there's to an extent we don't know what we don't know as guys. So what do you think are some challenges of doing ministry as a woman that maybe men wouldn't understand or don't have to go through? Like, what are some of the unique challenges that you face doing ministry as a woman to women?
Oh. I guess I don't know what it's like to be a guy either, so
we wouldn't know that it's unique.
Yeah. I think, though, it is like maybe some of the burdens of ministry weigh differently. Yeah, when I look at, I guess I know my husband the best.
So maybe you could talk about this from just a personal. I think that's maybe easier.
Yeah, so there is a way that I think I get more emotionally kind of involved, I think, or like I feel things, I take things harder than my husband, and he can kind of press on in different ways. But I think I feel like I worry about how people are affected, and I worry like how people are doing, and I think those burdens of ministry kind of weigh heavier on me. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know. That's something that I've had to learn to, bring to God and learn how to pray over those things and not be paralyzed by those kind of concerns. Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing to add. That was similar to what I was going to say.
Cool. Well, man, I mean, so back to what we were talking about earlier, and what you guys were talking about, just like impact on people. Like, but I just think about my own story and coming to our church, and actually, there, like, even though you were never my direct mentor, there were a lot of like points where we intersected. And my sophomore year, you taught my discipleship class.
That's right.
SK1.
Both of you were.
Yeah. You taught our discipleship class, SK1, and I remember that was like really
midway through.
I mean,
a complicated year for me.
You probably took it like 5 times or something. Yeah. But I remember that being really good for me, and that really helped me just kind of understand like myself and my relationship with God and different things I needed to grow in. And then when you guys before Seattle, you were Riverside.
Yeah. That's
right. And I was at a point where when I went home to SoCal, I didn't have like a church community to go through. So when you started Riverside, like Bob, my peer, would pick me up and take me to service there. And I was so thankful because those times being at home were really difficult spiritually, and just felt like I would just go back to my old habits because that was my old stomping grounds. And like every service that I went to, even some prayer meetings where you led, service where Pastor Steve was preaching, just ministered to me so well. Like those were some key moments for me. I remember especially there was one prayer meeting at your house at Hackamore.
Wow, you remember?
I remember this one because it was I was going through some pretty tough stuff, and it was like this Christmas themed prayer meeting, and we all had like little like lights like for them to pray meeting, and that was a moment that I really needed. And then there's another
that?
I do.
There was another message where Pastor Steve preached on truth, and that one got me. So I'm really grateful, and then I'm just grateful also just the way that the both of you even mentored our friend Bob. I know you guys like play a huge role in that and stuff.
That's
so
right. He gave us some gray hairs.
Yeah, sure. Probably more than a few. Yeah.
We'll have him on another time and ask him about
I don't know about that. I just want him to stay an enigma. No, but and so like just wanted to thank you for that, and just that I think that is probably the most rewarding thing in ministry. So.
Yeah, and I'm a big proponent of we need sisters in ministry.
Yeah.
We need to keep doing what we're doing because my wife. Her first person she met at our church was Emily Kim.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, where would I be? Man, different worlds. So thank you, Emily.
Yes.
Steph is smashing the like button right now. Like, that's right.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thanks for being on our podcast.
Really appreciate you guys.
Like and subscribe, and if you guys want to see more of the same thing. Maybe Emily start her own podcast.
Yep.
Like and subscribe.
Right.
We're gonna start an online petition for Emily.
Yes.
To start her
and
own
I'm
podcast.
sure that podcast will overtake this.
It'll be
one,
amazing.
Actually.
Okay.
Go on.
Thank you.
All right. As always, thank you for joining us on the unofficial.
Not
Wow,
that
you
easy.
got me, man.
It's not that
Official, unofficial Grace Point podcast, and we'll see you around next time.